All right, today we're jumping into a fascinating text from the 14th century that makes a really bold claim. It says that one specific kind of meditation has more spiritual power than pretty much any other. So we're going to break down exactly what that practice is and the, well, surprising logic behind why it's considered so powerful.
But let's start with a big question, right? What is it that makes any spiritual act truly powerful in the first place? This medieval text has a very specific answer, so let's dive in.
So the practice at the very heart of this is meditating on what's called the Passion of Christ. The argument in the text is that doing this specifically unlocks the full spiritual benefits, what it calls merits, which you can kind of think of as spiritual credit, of that sacrifice in a way that nothing else really can.
Now, our source for all this is set up as a dialogue, a conversation, between a 14th century mystic named Gertrude and our Lord. This format really gives us a window into the spirituality of the time, you know? It was this very intense, very emotional era where people were seeking a direct, personal connection with the divine.
And just to make sure we're all on the same page, when the text says the Passion, it's talking about that whole period of suffering Jesus went through leading up to and including his crucifixion. That event is the laser focus of the meditation we're talking about. Okay, so the first big idea the text throws at us is about the sheer scale of this sacrifice, but it's also about how personal it is. The key concept here is that its power isn't, watered down or divided up among millions of people. And this gets to a really profound point the chapter's making. The idea is that the value of the Passion is, well, it's infinite. It's not some finite pie that gets sliced up. Instead, it's this undiminished, total power that's available to every single individual. And the text puts it in these really powerful terms, a direct quote meant to drive home that intensely personal connection. The message is clear. The sacrifice is totally sufficient for you, as if you were the only person in the entire world who needed it. So, if the value is infinite, what does that mean for our spiritual practices? Well, this is where the text makes its boldest claim yet. It says that because of that infinite value, meditating on the Passion isn't just a good spiritual exercise. It's the most fruitful one you can possibly do. It's placed above all others. And the distinction it makes is honestly pretty stark. Sure, other spiritual acts are good, they're valuable, but meditating on the Passion, that's presented as being in a whole different league. It has infinitely more merit and is basically a guaranteed source of spiritual benefit. To really drive this home, the author uses this fantastic analogy about handling flour. Think about it. It's impossible to touch flour and not get some on you, right? The text says it's the same deal here. It's impossible to seriously meditate on the Passion without getting some spiritual benefit or fruit from it. So engagement, even a little, always leaves a positive mark. Okay, so you're probably thinking, this sounds powerful, but is it complicated? Well, according to this text, it's the exact opposite. You don't need some complex ritual. All of these immense benefits can be tapped into through a remarkably simple and intentional act.
It's literally a three-step process. First, a physical act. Just look at an image of the cross. Second, an internal act. Do it with a holy intention, meaning you have a sincere, devout purpose. And the result, the text claims, is immediate and direct. You receive divine goodness and mercy.
And the text even gets specific about what this simple act does to a person's soul. It says the soul becomes like a spotless mirror, reflecting this pure image that's pleasing to all of heaven. And on top of that, it directly adds to your own eternal glory. So let's pull all this together. We've got this infinitely valuable sacrifice and a super simple way to access its benefits. The final piece of the puzzle is, what's our response supposed to be? Well, the text says it's all about gratitude. Here's the thinking behind it. Theologically, Christ's innocence is seen as this perfect counterbalance to human faults. And because of that dynamic, forgiveness or pardon is made readily, even easily, available to anyone who believes. And this brings us to the climactic statement of the whole chapter. It's a direct call to be thankful, specifically because pardon was obtained so easily. That ease doesn't make it cheap. Instead, it's meant to highlight the sheer magnitude of the sacrifice that made it all possible. So we're left with this really interesting tension, aren't we? An infinite sacrifice makes forgiveness simple, but that very simplicity demands a profound sense of gratitude. And it makes you wonder, how does the ease of receiving a gift like that change the way we should feel thankful for it? It's definitely something to think about.